What's going on, guys? Mickle here, and in this video, we are getting into the SEC's latest filing in the Ripple SEC case. It seems like the SEC is almost at rock bottom, and their filings are getting more and more desperate as this case goes on. The SEC has not presented any new information to the court in such a long time, and rather they are stuck on the defensive as they are getting shelled by Ripple's legal team. You guys are not going to believe what the SEC submitted to this case today, and I'm going to break it down to you to show you why this is telling us that their position is getting extremely weak. I believe their only option left in this case is to delay, and we're going to get into why that is the case later in this video. Guys, I'm also going to show you guys another group of investors who are likely going to be very furious at the SEC very soon. You guys are going to want to pay attention to this because the more investor bases we have coming together against the SEC, the more the SEC is going to feel pressured to start settling some of these issues. The last thing the SEC wants is Congress coming to them and saying, why do we have all these people complaining to us about your agency? The pressure is mounting on the SEC, and in this video, I'm going to cover why this is happening. Guys, if you're new to this channel or come here all the time, make sure to like and subscribe. It is an excellent way to help this channel grow for free and really means so much to me in this channel. If you guys do not have an Uphold account already, make sure to sign up using the link below. With that said, guys, let's jump right into it, and I hope you enjoy the content. Alrighty guys, let's jump right into it. And before we get into the latest developments in the Ripple SEC case, I wanted to cover this real quick. The other night, Tony had this ex-SEC guy on his channel, the Thinking Crypto channel, and they were just talking a lot about the Ripple SEC case. I was actually pretty surprised to hear this ex-SEC guy essentially talking about how he likely thought Ripple had a good chance of winning this case, especially when it came down to the fair notice defense. He pretty much made the point, and he was like, how could Ripple have had fair notice what they were doing was wrong if the SEC never provided any rules about what was wrong and what was right? And that's really the crux of this case, and it doesn't take a genius to understand that the SEC never gave any fair guidance to this market, and it doesn't make sense for crypto companies to follow rules that never existed. The one thing I did want to address, though, is that the guy seemed to instantly turn down the idea that there's any corruption going on at the SEC. I think he only said this to really save face. He likely doesn't want to be talking crap about his old agency, but if I was Tony, I would have told the guy right to his face that you literally have ex-SEC officials coming out and saying there are serious acts of impropriety going on at the agency. I thought Tony should have fronted this guy a little more, let him know, look, we know Hinman was getting paid by the Ethereum Alliance while he was working at the SEC, while he gave Ethereum a free pass, so I don't really care what you think is going on. It is very obvious that there is some shady stuff going at the agency, and that's not a conspiracy theory. Digital Assets said it best right here. He's like, we have a timeline of undisputed documents and their own words and video evidence. If anyone wants to talk about this and debate me, come on to my channel. But to this day, everyone has denied this opportunity. And John Deaton was saying the same thing. Pretty much, I thought it was pretty funny that this ex-SEC guy, who was obviously willing to defend the SEC when it came down to the corruption, even he was saying, look, it is not looking good for the SEC in this Ripple case. I wanted to show this too. Elon Musk tweeted out, he said, this is just peeling back the first layer of corruption, of the corruption onion at the SEC. Stay tuned. This is massive because the Tesla community has one of the biggest retail investor bases in all the different markets. It's massive if you get the Tesla community also pissed at the SEC by Gary Gensler and the SEC going after Elon Musk. The Tesla community is not going to be happy, and they're likely going to take out a lot of their frustration on the SEC, and maybe if we're lucky, they'll even start connecting to Congress in a similar fashion that XRP holders did. You have this alongside the Bitcoin people who are mad about the refusal of the SEC to approve the Bitcoin ETF, and you get a lot of angry investors all mad at an agency that's supposed to be protecting them. This is why it is so important for you guys to connect to Congress, because the more pressure we can put on this agency, the more likely they are going to be to stop fighting so hard against us and realize it is starting to impact them politically to keep making these absurd assertions at their agency. I know one of the things the Tesla community is mad about is back in the 2018 settlement, the SEC actually promised to give a lot of the funds between the Tesla lawsuit back in 2018 back to retail investors, and the SEC has refused to do so. It is crazy to me that this agency is so corrupt that they work for the government. The government can literally print unlimited money and they won't even give investors their funds back. That shows you the caliber of people we are dealing with here. They think they are better than all of us. They think they don't have to play by the rules, and they're going to do whatever they can whenever they want, as long as it does not affect their power. The only way we affect their power is to connect to Congress and let people know we are not happy with stuff like this. Let's keep moving though. Right here we have from Stephanie Hubert. This is kind of just a funny meme. We see these essentially 10 things you shouldn't do when you're starting up a blockchain project. These 10 things are essentially outlined by the SEC themselves, and we can see right here that Ethereum essentially checks off 0 of the things the SEC says you should and shouldn't do, and XRP checks off every single one. And guess which one the SEC gave a free pass to? Yep, you bet it, Ethereum. And this just shows that the SEC claims there's clarity, but you can't even follow the very little clarity they've given and make any sense out of it. And Jeremy Hogan actually pointed this out. The fact that the SEC has been so inconsistent of the applications of the little guidance they have given shows that their guidance was never clear, and that no one in the market could have been able to understand this guidance, because if you look at stuff like this, it simply doesn't make any sense. Their statements are constantly contradicting each other because the SEC is willing to fight one battle, forget everything they said, and then fight the next one. They are not worried about contradicting themselves. They are not worried about lying. They are simply worried about fighting the issue at hand and then moving on. Right here, we can see that the SEC has no concept of fairness or rules that benefit an industry. They simply do whatever they want. Whoever's willing to put the most money in their pocket gets a free pass. Those who are actually looking to do things the right way and follow the rules get punished. Makes no sense, but that's what we're dealing with. Luckily, I believe in the courts. I think we're going to turn out on the right side of this. But speaking of the courts, let's get into the SEC's latest motion. What are they saying now? Well, they filed a sir reply, which essentially means we forgot to say all this stuff the last time we were talking about the DPP decision. So he's even more stuff we were trying to throw in here. And Jeremy Hogan, I've never seen lawyers like so confused about what other lawyers are doing. Jeremy Hogan literally tweets out, or the library case. Library actually asserted a fair notice defense and did not only not get it stricken, the SEC didn't even try to strike it. So how a trial level court striking a completely different affirmative defense in that case is relevant, I don't understand. And let me break this down for you real quick. Essentially, Library, another project the SEC is suing, filed a fair notice defense just like Ripple has going on right now, and they also filed another kind of defense. From my understanding, it's much harder to win this other kind of defense that Library had submitted. Very interesting enough, the SEC did not try to strike down Library's fair notice defense like the SEC did for Ripple, but the SEC did strike down Library's other defense. So what the SEC is trying to do here is they're saying, hey, look, to the court, Judge Knepper and Judge Torres, in the Library case, this other court struck down this other defense Library was trying to argue. So therefore, you should strike down fair notice defense. But Jeremy Hogan's saying these are completely different issues. You can't just say, because this other crypto project lost this one defense, Ripple should lose their fair notice, because you're completely unrelated. And to prove that, Library actually has a fair notice, just like Ripple, and the SEC didn't even try to strike it. So if the SEC was so convinced that anything in the library case could relate to the Ripple case, it would have been the fair notice defense, and they're treating it completely differently. What this tells us is the SEC is a lot more worried about the fair notice defense than they're letting on to be. Another lawyer I follow tweeted out, he said, yep, it's a complete nothing burger. What we're watching right now is complete desperation by the SEC. They are willing to throw anything on the table because they are in straight defense mode. They have not brought any new evidence to the case in such a long time. So what do? They can bring a complete unrelated issue to the table that every single lawyer who's following this case can't even wrap their head around how it's relevant. This is what the SEC calls evidence now because they have been so focused on trying to defend themselves from getting shelled by Ripple's legal team, they cannot come up with any good points or any points with any merit on why XRP should actually be a security. They're forced to bring out these super strange comparisons to other cases, and all these super legitimate, super honest lawyers are coming out of this looking at it and being like, what is this? How is this what you're arguing? The SEC brought this case against Ripple. How is it possible they have no evidence? How are they coming up with stuff like this at the last minute? And it's because they are fighting this case so terribly because Ripple was always on the right side of the law. The SEC is trying to fight one issue at a time, trying to make Ripple look bad, and it's not working at all. They are making a joke out of their agency. Let's keep moving though. And Jeremy Hogan just points out, he's like, not only is this bad for the SEC and nonsensical, but also he's like, it kind of points out to the court, like, wait, why didn't the SEC try to go after library's fair notice defense? Is it because they know the fair notice defense is a lot stronger than they're letting on to be? This just kind of puts out, he's like, the SEC is grasping for air so much that they're willing to put out evidence that actually might hurt them. It's like if you're so confident that Ripple shouldn't be able to argue fair notice and that the court should strike it down, why didn't you try to strike it down in the library case? It's more inconsistencies by the SEC, and I'm going to tell you guys, the reason they're doing this is simply because they're trying to delay the case. What they're trying to do is put new evidence in front of the court and say, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. And even though it doesn't relate, they're just hoping it could delay the case for a little longer. Delays are all the SEC has right now. By delaying the case, they pull money out of Ripple and they force Ripple to come to the table with maybe slightly less settlement terms. Or maybe they're trying to get Ripple to come to the table at all. Ripple is in such a strong position right now, I would not be surprised if they are completely holding out on a settlement with the SEC. Ripple had the opportunity to settle this case before this thing even started, and they chose to go into court. They went into court wanting to win, and they are likely not going to be the first ones to the table to settle this thing. The SEC is losing bad right now. They are on the defensive, and they're likely trying to do whatever they can to bring Ripple to the table before they lose this case. The only weapon they have left now is time, and the SEC is now filing arguments or filing evidence to the court in the absence of any logic in a desperate attempt to delay the case. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you appreciated this update. Make sure if you're new here, you like and subscribe. It really helps me out so much. Thank you guys so much for coming. For now, Mickle out.